Thank you guys for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. Got a cool one here for you today. I hope and pray as always you'll enjoy and find helpful and educational. Okay, what are we doing here today? This is going to be part 3 of the series of building a hunting arrow. Okay, the test bow. There she is, 40-pound Oberon longbow, 40 pounds on the head. I'm going to draw it 28 inches. We've got three guys, different sets to test today. Here we go. We've got Gold Tip, Easton Legacy, Black Eagle Vintage. 3 of the most common arrows that you will find for traditional bows. And we are going to see, we're going to duplicate to start with an identical build from what worked on the Three Rivers house brands. That was the traditional only arrows and the barrel arrows. We know that those arrows tuned exceptionally well. Perfection was achieved with a 30-inch 500 with 250 grains on the front. 29 inches with 250 on a 600 was just ever so slightly weak, but very acceptable. Okay, so we're after the perfect bear shaft. Without human interference, out of a machine, what's it gonna take, guys? So, if you have a 40-pound bow, if you are truly drawing 40 pounds, no more, no less, if you're drawing 40 pounds, whatever arrow we build will be perfect. Okay, from there, guys, you can take it from that spot and go where you need to go. In other words, all right, if we establish a perfect bear shaft at 28 inches, drawing 40 pounds, whatever spine it may be out of these test kits that we got, whatever it may be, if you draw more than that, then you know that you're either going to have to back off the point weight just a little bit, shorten the arrow just a little bit, or go up a spine. That's what I would recommend doing over anything. Now, if you're shorter draw than that, let's say you don't draw 28 inches, and guys ask me this all the time. And most people don't draw 28 inches, myself included. Okay, if you're drawing less than that, on a 40-pound bow that's marked 40 at 28, obviously you're not pulling that much weight, so you can afford to either add more point weight if you desire to get your total arrow weight up, or shorten your arrow on the same spine that we find to be a winner, whether it's a 600 or whether it's a 500. So guys, we're gonna have some fun with this. I want to see how these 3 major brand arrows act when we find the perfect one. And we're going to start, we're going to start with Gold Tip. We're going to build a Gold Tip that shoots bullet straight, okay? And we're going to duplicate it with one of these others, Black Eagle or Easton Legacy. We're going to duplicate that build exact and see, will it bear shaft exactly like a Gold Tip will? That's what we're going to do in today's video, guys. It's going to be cool. And if we are going to migrate to heavier pound bows, 45 pounds, we're going to do that. So let me get this thing set up. I'm going to cut these, and I'm going to start with an exact build as we had, and I'll show you the arrow that we were dealing with that was absolutely perfect. That was a 500 spine, 30 inches, 250 grains on the front. It could not be any better. Couldn't get any better. So that's what we're going to do, guys. All right, guys, showtime. That's right, showtime. In my hand, I have a whole entire batch of 600 bear shaft test arrows. Every single one of them, I'm trying to level the playing field. I found the other day that 250 grains on the front of the 600, even cut 29 inches, was still slightly weak. The 500 was bullet straight perfect. Okay, out of a 40-pound bow. That's right. All right, so you might be thinking, all right, I draw 30 inches, or I draw more than that. You definitely gonna have to go to a 500. Okay, but if you're less than that, a 600 is gonna work for you. It is. Question is, guys, and here's where it gets fun. I have Easton Legacy, Black Eagle Vintage, Gold Tip Treads, traditional only bear bow only arrows, all cut exactly 29 inches carbon to carbon 225 grain field tips with all stock inserts. Every one of them stock inserts. So we have an even playing field. I'm going to draw this thing exactly 28 inches. Exact same everything. And I'm going to see how different these brands actually bear shaft. Heads up. Heads up, guys. I'm curious about this because I've not shot them. I don't know. I'm hoping they're all identical. But from my experience, no. No. You're going to have a little variance in different areas. And you may have to tweak one brand a little differently than you do the others, guys. It's just the way it is. That's why you buy test kits and get your points and you just go to playing. Cutting, playing, putting the weight on. And guys, the easiest thing when you buy a test kit to figure out what you want to do, the shortcut, if you will. Figure out what broadheads you want to shoot, what grain. And I recommend go with a 150 grain head. I mean, there's like every single head in the world is available in 150 grains and 200 grains. Okay. So if you just want to say, okay, I'm buying 200 grain heads, I'm going to shoot stock inserts, you can simply get the 200 grain, there they are, 200 grain test field points and go to cutting and figure out what length and what spine works out of your bow the best. Okay. So in other words, you don't have to go through all the motions like I'm going through because I want to see how these arrows are natured. Okay. I want to see that. But if I was a guy starting out with a bow, going to hunt, and I was like, okay, I kind of like this brand of arrows, whether it is Gold Tip Traditionals or Legacies or Three Rivers brand, whatever they are, Gold Tip Warriors, you name it. I would get a test kit, and I would get the tips that are going to be the weight of the broadhead I plan on buying. If you're going to shoot Simmons heads, something like that, they weigh a true, like a swamp shark. They're a true 190 grains, give or take. Okay, so by the time you got 190 grain head, it's a very close match. All the VPAs, things like that, woodsman heads, they all come in dead on. Okay, so buy you some 200 grain heads or 150s and put a weighted insert. 50 grain inserts. It doesn't make any difference, guys. You can shortcut by doing that and figure out, okay, what do I need to go with? Get you a test kit, get the tips that are going to match whatever broadhead weight you plan on using and hunting with. That's what you got to do, guys. So, without further ado, we're going to start firing some bear shafts. Let's do it. This is what's fun because I want to see how differently, whether it's knock high, knock low, weak, stiff, something. There's going to be something different between brands built identical. Okay? It's going to be. Past experience has taught me that no two brands are alike, even in the same spine. And there again, every single one of these 5 arrows in my hands are 600 spines that we're doing the test on right now. 600 spines. Okay? Do it. $28. Fellas, it does not get any more perfect than that bare bow arrow that I just shot. That is a 10 out of 10 on a bear shaft. 29-inch carbon to carbon, 225 grain point. Bullet straight. Okay, let's move on. Let's go with the Eastern Legacy. Let's try a Legacy. Same build. See what she does. See if it's right in there. 28 inches. We have a winner. 2 hole for hole, laser straight. We're on a roll. So if there's going to be a bad egg in this batch, you're going to know who it is. That's what I wanted to test, guys. That's what I'm trying to find out. Okay, next up. Black Eagle Vintage. Black Eagle Vintage. Let's see, does the old Black Eagle want to follow suit with its brothers? Gosh, awful. Awful. Now, fellas, you see now why, and I'm not bashing the arrows, because I guarantee you I can knock team that arrow and make it shoot decent. We're gonna try it. I'll spin it around 180 degrees and just see. But that tells you guys, that tells you the world of bear shafting can be the most frustrating thing you will ever do. And you can't assume that any single brand is going to be perfect based on a certain size, a cut, a point weight, whatnot. Absolutely not. You simply, whatever brand you buy, you're just going to have to break down and get the points and go to cutting and playing with them and get them to bear shaft tuned to your bow, the way you draw, at your draw, the weight you're pulling, everything, and make them work for you. But this test is unbiased, guys. It really is. I mean, boy, that thing was like super weak. Why? Why would a 600 identical spine, identical build be that weak at the exact same everything? It doesn't make sense. So here's what we're going to do. Before I even shoot these other 600s, before I even shoot those, I have a 500. Same deal, but it's a 500 with 250 on the front, and it's 30 inches. This one is 30 inches, okay? So going up a spine, it's an inch longer, it's more point weight. See if it's even weak. I don't know. I don't know that. I don't. Either way, I'm gonna knock tune that one. See what it does. $28 on the head. Weak. Oh. Well, that tells me something. So far, these Black Eagles are tending extremely weak. They are. And I guess how we'll back that up is we'll take an exact build. All these arrows on my right here, all these right here, are 500s, exact builds with 250 on the front, 30-inch arrows, okay, which tune out of this bow typically. At least I know that this one did to perfection. The traditional only arrow, it was bullet straight. And This one, of course, was, you'll see it in the other videos, these two 500s were bullets out of this same deal. So let's just see. Well, as a matter of fact, what I'll do, I'll shoot this one first. This 500 with 250, just like that second Black Eagle that we just shot that was extremely weak. Weak. Along with, in other words, those arrows are going to have to be cut way down or go way up in spine, even out of a 40-pound bow from what I'm seeing, guys. It's a weird deal. But it is what it is. That's why we testing it. Dead on, 28 inches. Perfect. That thing is as perfect as the first two that we shot. Laser straight. Okay, same build. Guys, I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, there's a bare bow arrow, 30 inches, 500 spine, 250 grain point on the front, shooting bullet straight, but a Black Eagle in the exact same build as weak, a Black Eagle vintage and a 600, exact build as those other perfect 600s, is weak. So without a doubt, the Black Eagle arrows tend very weak. Okay, so now you know that. It is what it is. Okay, guys, so that just proved that completely. So now let me go back and get back on these 600s. Okay, I'm going to do the gold tip traditional next. Okay, so a bare bow, a traditional only. Well, actually, a bare bow and a legacy are neck and neck perfect in a 600 spine with 225, cut 29 inches. They're flawless. Okay, same build here, 29-inch arrow, 600 spine, 225 grain tips. Let's see what this gold tip traditional does. Is it weak or is it going to fly like the rest of them? We'll find out. Interesting. Dead on, 28 inch. Slightly weak. Not near as bad. Not near as bad as the Black Eagle, but definitely weak. Definitely weak. Okay. All right. Traditional only. House brand. Three Rivers arrow. Same exact build. 600 spine. 225 on the front. Let's see. All right, 28. Even better than that one. I mean, just slightly weak. Very acceptable. Much better than the other two. Okay. So, guys, Black Eagles, Instincts. Black Eagle Vintage are tending weak. from my experience, especially this test here with the vintage. Okay. Gold tip traditionals, tending a little weak. I mean, they're labeled 600 spine deflection, but they're coming in a little weak. So far, Three Rivers House brand, traditional only, both of those airs, very consistent. They are. Easton Legacy, spot on so far. Spot on. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull these real quick. And now that we know where we're at on 600s, and we know where our total weights are at, they're plenty acceptable. But if you need to go to a 250 grains total, you want to get over 500 grains, you got to go to a 500 spine if you're pulling 28 inches. And we're going to do a head-to-head now. Head-to-head on all of the 500 spine, 250 grains on the point, 30-inch arrows. We're going to go head-to-head with these right quick and just see, and we will know without a doubt. Brand to brand. What's up? Hang with it. All right, guys, head-to-head. Here we go. The 500 spine. I have all 5 different brands, just like we did in the 600s, all cut 29 inches, carbon to carbon, 250 grain tips on all these. 250s on the front. Let's just see if the 500s have any variance. Let's just see if they shoot relatively close to each other, and they should be a perfect tune out of this 40-pound bow, weighing in at like 525 grains. Let's see. We're going to start, guys, with, we'll start with the traditional only bare bow arrow again. We'll start with him. All right, guys, let's load up the bare bow only arrow here. Should be a bullet. We're going to see. We'll start with it. All right, 28-inch draw, 29-inch carbon to carbon, 250 grain field tips, 500 spine. Perfection. Okay, beautiful. That was beautiful. All right, let's do the legacy. See if it duplicates. See if it does. All right. Ooh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so those two are shooting neck and neck. Now, Black Eagle Vintage. Black Eagle Vintage. Well, let's see. See if it's as off as the 600 was. Maybe, may not be. Okay. Weak. Again. So that 500 is weaker than the rest. The 600 in that brand was weaker than the rest. Okay. Okay. So now we know. Not all brands shoot identical, even in the exact same build. They do not. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't perfect it. I mean, sure. Just like that. I mean, you could run 225 on the front. You could cut it down to 28 inches. It'd be a bullet. Sure. You can make anything work. But we're looking for consistency in brands. That's what we're doing here. Gold tip traditional. Let's see what the old gold tipper is going to do here. Well, let's just see. All right. Very good. Very good. It's ever so slightly weak. I mean, not as good as the first two, but acceptable, but still not quite as weak as that Black Eagle was. But it's kind of that in between. And that's what we found in those 600s. If you'll remember, that's the exact same results that we had with the 600 group. Exact same thing. Okay? Last but not least, traditional only. Traditional only. So what it does. 28 inches. Let's see. Good. We're good. All right. So, guys, there you got it. There you have it. Two different spines, identical builds, and you can grade them how you see them. Same way I see it. The barebow arrow out of the bunch is the most consistent. Spine to spine, build to build, yes, it is consistent. The Legacy would be right there with it. So you got the barebow, the Legacy, the traditional onlys are right there. The gold tip traditionals would be what I would say fourth place because they're slightly weaker every time. Build for build, pound for pound, they are. And finally, the Black Eagle Vintage, the weakest of all, even in both spines. Could you noctune the Black Eagles? Probably. They probably could. You can get any arrow noctuned to perfection very easily. You can. I mean, it's not a hard thing to do. But guys, there it is. There is the test of the arrows. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. Pray that somehow this super cool test has helped you at least figure out a little bit about the nature of arrows, guys. And maybe what you might and might not want to, what route you might want to go and might not want to go. And I'm not pushing any brands. Doesn't matter to me what they are. It doesn't. I'm just simply showing you that out of a mechanical machine drawing the same with the same build, without noctuning and doing any of that stuff, how do they, out of the box like they come, just cut the front off, put a point in the factory insert in them, shoot them, and how do they act? Because if they're radically different, it means some noctuning is going to be involved. Okay? And I simply find, especially these barebow only arrows, to just not be that case. I'm finding that to not be of any case whatsoever, and very little with these legacies. Very little with those. And thirdly, probably the traditional only carbon arrows, and they're a cheaper arrow, but very consistent. They are, guys. And I have found my warriors to be far more consistent with my bear shafting than anything that I've ever shot. That's why I like the warriors. Didn't have one in this group, but my warriors have been exceptionally good for that. That's why I shoot them all the time. So anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Until next time, God bless you.